Hello everyone, it's Mr. Slomka again, and I want to talk to you some more about section 10.5, which is about permutations and combinations. This is going to be our third video of the 3 videos I'm going to post on section 10.5, and it will probably be one of the longer ones. So what we have right here is we've got some more story problems, and the complexity is coming up a little bit, and so we're going to have to deal with that. So let's see if we can dive in. Before we get started, I want to remind you about our one big important fact again, so that we're clear on that. Once again, permutations is when order does matter, and a combination is when order does not matter. And so we're going to keep that in mind throughout all of these problems. It should be the very first thing that you ask yourself when you're working on problems in this section. So for our first example right here, it says a local movie rental store has a special on new releases. They have 12 comedies, 8 action films, 7 dramas, 5 suspense, and 9 family movies. And your job is to calculate the number of possible outcomes if you want exactly 2 comedies and 3 family movies. So now this doesn't mean we're going to be accessing all of these different kinds of movies that are listed right here, so we can keep the numbers a little bit smaller, and that's good. One of the things that I want you to notice is that we are going to be talking about comedies and family films right there, and so we're going to need to deal with that. So right off the bat, first thing though is order important? If you rent a specific comedy first and then a different comedy second, does that mean that when you go home you have to watch them in the same order? And the answer to that question is absolutely not. You can rent them in any order you'd like, and you can watch them in any order you would like as well. So that means order is not particularly important, so feel free to go nuts. That means we get to use combinations. So we're going to have a combination for our comedies, and we're also going to have a combination for our family movies. Next, the word and is in here, and we've talked about and throughout all of chapter 10, and the same rule applies right here. Whenever you see the word and in a problem, you want to use it as multiplication. So we're going to put our multiplication dot in. All right, now let's talk about comedies for a little bit. How many comedies are available to us? We have 12 comedies available, and of those 12, we will be choosing 2. Family movies. How many family movies do we have available to us? There are 9, and we are going to be choosing 3 of those. So I have these 2 different combinations, and I want to calculate each of them. Hopefully you found your combination button on your calculator by now. If not, you might need to use your factorials in order to calculate these 66 and 84s. Now that you've got these 2 values, what you want to do now is you want to multiply them together. And when you do that, you're going to get your total number of outcomes. That is going to be 5,544 outcomes. I want you to notice that we didn't touch at all on suspense movies or dramas or action films. We didn't use those values at all. There is no grand total of movies available to us here. We're just the grand total of comedies and the grand total of family movies. Let's bump it up a little bit. So now what you have is you want 2 comedies, 2 actions, 2 dramas, and 2 suspense. This is a you try it problem for you, so I'd like you to pause the video right here and see if you can answer that one on your own. Here's the answer for your you try it problem right here. We have a combination for our comedies and another one for our actions, our dramas, and our suspense. You can see the total numbers for each type of movie listed here, and you can see the number of movies of each type of movie you're going to rent here. Then we've calculated all of our combinations, and we've come up with our grand total. Let's move on to some card problems. So for our card problems down here at the bottom, what we're going to do is once again go back to having a deck of 52 cards. Now an interesting thing that's going to happen here is rather than just drawing out 1 card or drawing out 2 cards, what we're going to do is we're going to draw out a whole 5-card hand, which is a little bit different from what we've been doing. We're kind of once again bumping up the complexity. So this is going to be an extension of what we've already talked about with our cards. That means that you still need to try to become familiar with what types of cards there are and how many of each there is. Let's talk about red cards for a couple minutes. We want to pull out a 5-card hand that is all red. So let's start off by discussing order. Is order important? If you are dealt a particular card first, does that mean you need to play it first, or can you save it for later? And the answer to that question is, once again, no. Order does not matter. Just because I got a card first doesn't mean that I have to use it first, so I can use it in any order I would like, which means combination is going to be the choice for me. Okay, so now the next question is, how many red cards are there? So red cards represents half of the deck. So if you have 52 cards in total and you cut it in half, that means we're going to end up with 26 red cards. So we are going to be talking about our grand total of 26 red cards that we are interested in, and we will be choosing 5 of those. So now this is an interesting and a little bit unnatural for some people. Because we've worked on cards for so long, a lot of people know that we use a lot of 52s in these types of problems that involve cards because there's always 52 available. You might notice that in this problem I did not use 52 at all. And that's because I wasn't interested in all the different kinds of cards. I'm only interested in the reds. So I've only used the total number of reds. Let's do another one. B right here says 4 spades and 1 card that is not a spade. Once again, we have another and right here, and we're going to treat it the same way that we always do with a multiplication. So we are going to have a combination for spades, and then another combination right here for not a spade. Okay, so now spades right here is going to be one of our 4 basic suits. So if you know you have 52 cards and you divide it by 4 this time, you'll find out that there are 13 cards in each suit. That means there are 13 spades. We want 4 of those spades, so it's going to be 13 choose 4. Now, let's talk about this other piece, not a spade. So not a spade means it could be a club, a diamond, or a heart. So you could take your 13 clubs, your 13 diamonds, and your 13 hearts and add those up. Or you could take your 52 total cards and subtract the 13 spades from it. Regardless of whatever technique you use, you're going to find out that there are 39 cards that are not a spade. And of those 39 cards, we only want 1 of them. So this is going to be 39 choose 1. This is something we had talked about in the very first video. Hopefully when you see something like 39 choose 1, you can really fast track that. Anytime you have a choose 1, it is always just going to be the initial number, which is going to be 39. 13 choose 4 is going to definitely need to go into your calculator, or you're going to need to write out your factorial formula, and you're going to get a much larger answer, 715. Okay, now we're going to multiply these 2 combinations together. Last time we only had 1 combination, now we have 2, and so we're going to multiply them together. This is going to give us 2, 7, 8, 8, 5. Last one. In our final card problem, 3 face cards and 2 cards that are not face cards. Once again, with face cards, please remember that these are the cards that have eyes and noses and mouths. So no ace, no tens, nothing like that. So we want to just focus on our face cards. So there are 3 face cards, and there are 3 of those face cards for each of the 4 suits, which means that there are going to be 12 face cards in total. We're still using combination because order still doesn't matter. We want 3 face cards in total, so we're going to do 12 choose 3. Now what we want is we want 2 more cards that are not face cards. So if you have 52 cards in total and you've used up your 12 face cards, how many are left? That means that there are going to be 40 cards that are not face cards, and we are going to be choosing just 2 of those. Once again, I want you to notice that there is no 52 in this problem at all. That's interesting for some people, and that's frustrating for other people. I want to just point it out to you so that you don't have to fall into the class of people that find that frustrating. You should be able to just kind of understand it and know it, and then you won't have to worry too much about it. After we've come up with our 2 different combinations, we want to multiply them together, and that is going to give us our final number of outcomes. Notice how large all of these outcomes are. Because they're so large, that's what makes cards unpredictable, and that also makes them fun. Down here at the bottom of the page, what I have is a couple of you-try-it problems, and so I'd like you to pause the video right now and see if you can give those a shot. Here are the answers for your you-try-it problems right here. In particular, I'd like to talk about this bottom one. I want you to notice that for this bottom one, I've started off with a 3-letter word each time, and both of them are fairly basic words, bat and I. But I also want you to notice that the number of possible outcomes is different for each of those. Bat, we were able to come up with 6 different weird, strange words, while I was only able to come up with 3 different weird, strange words. The reason for that is because I has repeated letters. In both cases, you can definitely tell that order matters. Using the same 3 letters in different orders is going to produce those different words. But in this case, if I take the E from the front and flip it with the E from the back, it still says I. And if I take the 2 E's that are right next to here in the front and I turn them around, it still says ye. So that is not going to change as much. When you have those repeats like this guy right here, we're going to need to change our permutation formula a little bit. And so let's jump into that part on our next page. So what we have right here is we have a modified permutation formula, which is similar to the one that we had before, but it is changed a little bit, and it is changed because it involves repetition. If you find that you have some events that are going to repeat themselves, you need to use this new formula. This is going to be the most common situation is when we're going to use these words like we did in that last You Try It problem, and we're going to be able to work through those very quickly and easily. So let's take a look at some words right here that have some repeated letters. So what I've got right here is the word even, and what I want to do is I want to jumble up the letters in that word to create some new words. And the thing that I want you to notice is it has a couple of repeat letters. So even right here, it has one letter, which is going to be our E, and it is repeated 2 times. And because of that right there, we cannot simply say that there are 4 letters in the word and use 4 factorial. What we are going to have to do is we're going to have to use that 4 factorial and then divide it. The E being repeated 2 times means that in the denominator we're going to have an extra 2 factorial, and that is going to bring down the total number of outcomes that we have so that we are going to have each unique outcomes like we did with the word I. When you do this calculation right here, you're going to end up with 24 over 2. There should be 24 different ways to mix up a 4-letter word, but in this case, because one of the letters is repeated, that's going to drop down to only 12 ways you can mix up the letters. Let's do an even more complicated word. The word tomorrow right here is going to have 2 letters. The O is repeated 3 times in the word, and the R is repeated 2 times in the word. That means, so in this guy right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there are 8 letters in total. So it should just be 8 factorial. But because of that O being repeated 3 times, we're going to have a 3 factorial in the denominator. And because of that R being repeated 2 times, we're also going to have a 2 factorial in the denominator. That is going to make this a lot smaller than what it could have been. When we calculate all of these factorials, we do our division and our multiplication, we're going to end up with 3,360 different words that are available. That is much smaller than if we had 8 different and unique letters in our 8-letter word. All right, I have a You Try It problem right here with the word California. You know the drill. Pause the video and give it a try. And here's our answer for the word California. California has 10 letters in it in total. The A is repeated 2 times, and the I is repeated 2 times as well. And because of that, it's going to drop down the number of outcomes a little tiny bit, and so there's your value right there. All right, last piece. For our final piece that we have right here, let's combine our new combinations and permutations with our old idea about probability. These are definitely the most interesting questions that we've seen, and because they're going to involve a lot of different topics all at the same time. They're also tricky because they involve so much. So let's see if we can go slowly, and I'll try to make them as simple as I possibly can. So we've got a young lady named Pearl right here, and her prom date is taking some group pictures with the squad before the big dance. There is one mom at the photo session who's in charge of taking the same picture with each of the 8 iPhones that are there. What is the probability that the mom will take the first picture with Pearl's phone? So in this case right here, what we have is we've got this picture being taken with 8 different phones, and we need to find out what is the probability that Pearl's phone will be first. So right off the bat, because they're mentioning the idea of being first or second or third or fourth, that really kind of drives home the fact that order is important. So we will be using a permutation in this problem right here, not a combination. Next, we're also looking at probability. So when we're talking about probability right here, you want to set this up as a fraction, and this is our first fraction of the day. So let's see if we can talk about that. We're going to have a numerator and a denominator that we need to fill in, but as usual, the denominators are a little bit easier, so I want to start with that. So we are talking about a permutation right here, and the deal here is that there are 8 phones that are available to us, and we will be choosing all 8 of them. This mom is not going to snub any of the kids and ignore their phone. She's going to use them all so everybody's got the same great pictures. So we will be using all of them. That's your denominator. That's your total number of outcomes, which is actually quite large. That's going to be 40,320. Now for our numerator, this is where things get a little bit interesting. So, as usual, what's going to happen here is we have got these 8 different phones that are available to us. And the thing that we're interested in is we're interested in Pearl's phone going first, which means that Pearl's phone, there's only one option that can go in there in the first position. Now for the second position, I don't care. It could be anybody else's phone, and there's 7 other phones available. So that's going to be a 7. And now that you've used 2 phones, now you just need to drop down a little bit. So that's going to be 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The simpler way to do all this would just be 7 factorial. So that's where things get a little bit complicated. There wasn't a lot of talk of 7s in the problem, but all of a sudden a 7 is showing up right here. And once again, that's because Pearl's phone was first. There should be an 8 right here, but we're being very specific, and there's only one choice we want for the first position. And that is going to create a large value of 5,040. Now, when you divide these 2 pieces, what you're going to end up with is 0.125. So this is a nice small probability. Once again, probabilities are supposed to be between 0 and 1. This one is closer to 0, which means that it is unlikely that Pearl's phone will be first. Let's take a look at another one. Tombly. Tombly right here is a drawer that is full of 6 red socks, 9 blue socks, 12 white socks, and 2 black socks. What is the probability that the first 3 socks Tombly pulls out of his drawer will be blue? So this is always fun. We're looking for 3 blue socks. One of the first things I want to do is I want to make sure I have enough blue socks. There are 9, so we could definitely pull 3 out. That's not a problem. And now let's see if we can dive a little bit deeper. There are so many different kinds of socks right here, and so that can be a little bit of a trick for some people. Let's talk about our probability. We're going to set it up as a fraction. Now, once again, this whole idea of the first 3 socks is showing up right here, which means that order is clearly going to be an important thing. But the thing about this guy is that I don't know the difference between one blue sock and another blue sock. It's not really that big of a deal. They are all the same color. So if you were thinking about this going the same way that our last one went, this one is a little bit different right here. Pearl's iPhone is different than the other iPhones, but in this case, one blue sock is not different than another blue sock. So there's a little bit of a difference right here. So we're going to be using a combination this time. Okay, so now we are interested in the total number of outcomes right now. So what I need to know is how many different socks are available. The easiest way to get that is to add up all of these numbers together. When you do, you're going to find out that you have 29 socks in total. And what we're going to be doing is we're only going to be pulling out the first 3. So it's going to be 29, choose 3. Once again, the denominators are usually a little easier, so I'd like to start there. Okay, now in the numerator, this is where things get a little interesting. Now in the numerator, this is where we really want to focus on the part that is most interesting to us. So we're only really interested in the blue socks. And so let's talk about blue socks for a little bit. There are 9 blue socks, and we still want to choose 3 of those blue socks. So we are going to have 9 choose 3 right here. Now when you do this work right here, what you're going to end up with is an 84 in the numerator and a 3,654 in the denominator. When you divide those 2 pieces, you're going to end up with your probability of 0.02. Once again, another very small probability. It is unlikely, if you only pull out 3 socks, that they will all be blue. It is more likely that you might have 1 blue or maybe 2 blue, but to get all 3 of them to be blue will be a lot trickier. This is my final video on section 10.5. Hopefully you enjoyed the first 2 before you watched this one. That'll make your life a lot easier. I'll see you again for section 10.6.